Fragpunk is an upcoming 5v5 hero shooter that— wait, don't leave. I know, I said hero shooter. That Winter Soldier activation phrase that reminds everyone of the current state of the gaming market. On one side of the coin, you've got generational hits like Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, Valorant, Siege, and Marvel Rivals, but on the side of the coin that hit the ground, you've got Battleborn, Paragon, Paladins, Paragon, Lawbreakers, Paragon, Crucible, Paragon, X-Defiant, Paragon, and oh, of course, who could forget our beloved? But that doesn't mean that the hero shooter genre is dead, not by any means. Marvel Rivals just took the industry by storm just before the turn of the new year, and it seems that that game is going to have some serious staying power amidst the inevitable decline of some games that haven't been aging as gracefully as they used to. But Fragpunk has something about it that makes it unique. More than just the unique shard card system, the shorter match lengths and more open and fast-paced approach that gives it a unique flavor as far as tactical hero shooters go, but Fragpunk has this air around it that the developers are genuinely trying to make a good game, and not just another soulless cash grab. Similarly, I'm trying to make some good content on this platform. My name is Ardy, and I'm a pro esports coach and caster, so if you're into esports and gaming content, consider a sub here and a follow on my Twitch where I'm live 5 days a week trying to make it full-time. If you don't already know, Fragpunk is a 5v5 hero shooter of the run-and-gun variety, as opposed to the more traditional stop-and-shoot kind. Instead of a weapon economy, you start with all of your abilities akin to Rainbow Six Siege, while being able to choose from a variety of weapons like CS and Valorant. Only instead of earning money, you can use any weapon from round 1, with the caveat being that you only get one of each weapon per half. The traditional economy system is seen with the main quirk of Fragpunk, the shard card system, where teams pick and ban cards at the start of each round, with cards having the potential to change the entire game in the craziest ways imaginable. Higher tier cards cost more shard points, which can be earned by winning rounds or can be picked up on the map by either team. During my time with the game, I was absolutely hooked, but it's not just the gameplay that gets me excited. The developer's passion to this project is one of the main reasons that I am so hyped for this game. The developer, Bad Guitar Studios, released a video talking about how every week the team has internal tournaments on the game, where everyone from the executive producers to the model artists play the game together to get a feel on not just how the game works, but how it would really feel for players who would be experiencing their games. Now, this of course is not a unique thing. Every game has QA testers and dedicated project staff to monitor user experience. But when even the UI designers are playing the game together with programmers and art leads, it really makes you think about the level of detail that this team is striving for. Another thing that's stuck with me for quite a while now has been the developers' constant outreach to the community for feedback. Through closed alpha playtests in China and the West, as well as a closed beta period that saw a bunch of top content creators showing genuine interest in the game, who continued to play and stream the game during the beta period despite the paid marketing being only for a single day. The developers also seem to have a close partnership with It's Timmy, who has made a few sponsored videos on the game so far, but even then, it seems that the team at Bad Guitar Studios genuinely wanted the partnership to see if pro-level players felt like the game was missing anything, rather than just using big-named influencers to promote the title.
There was no custom lobby, so and towards the end, we kept getting each other's games. I'm just thinking like, oh, we just got lucky, Later I find out that the devs actually, were watching, and what they did was they changed all of our MMRs to like something completely like so high that like legitimately no one else would be at. So then only we could queue against each other. That was really cool.
That being said, we all know that a pro FPS player having a critical role in the design and execution of a game is not a guaranteed win condition, and neither is being a 5v5 plant or defuse hero shooter. This is the last time I'm bringing up Concord, I swear. But that's also kind of where I'm worried. I feel like the game just doesn't have enough marketing right now. The game currently sits at the 26th most wishlisted title on SteamDB, which isn't bad by any means, but compare that to Marvel Rivals, which sat at the number 3 slot for a while, quite a while after its beta. But if the game is good, then it'll market itself, right? Well, look at the finals. It's a game that's doing well these days, with player numbers stabilizing after some recent updates, but it's an amazing shooter that suffers from a common problem that we see in gaming these days. Gamers call a game dead and then never look back. I don't want Fragpunk to have the same fate. During the beta, it had very decent viewership, and surprisingly, the vast majority of players were incredibly satisfied with the game, praising the pacing, styling, and overall look and feel and polish. But after the beta, things just got quiet. It seems like people aren't talking about this game as much as they should be. Prior to Marvel Rivals dropping, there were concerns that the game was too similar to Overwatch to perform well. But given the negative press that Overwatch 2 has also been under for the last few months, the overall hype for Marvel Rivals was incredibly high, with the beta seeing almost double the peak viewers when compared to Fragpunk. However, a main component to keep in mind here is just how massive the Marvel IP itself is, which gives that game a preemptive leg to stand on. Fragpunk, on the other hand, is a fresh IP, which will always carry with it some struggle to attract a new audience. For what it's worth, I think that Fragpunk's style and overall branding and art direction is pixel perfect. I don't think I've seen anything this fresh or unique in a while. It certainly stands out amongst the crowd, which should be considered a huge win given the fact that in order to survive, it's going to have to continue to be a standout title from the moment it drops until the moment that players' short attention spans start to waver. Luckily, of all the titles that it has to compete with, Marvel Rivals is not one of them. Bad Guitar Studio is a subsidiary of Thunderfire Studio, which is a subsidiary of NetEase Games, who is the developer and producer of Marvel Rivals. Now, of course, they are completely different studios. The really big takeaway here is that with Bad Guitar Studios under NetEase, they have a good financial backing, which means that if they can establish a good baseline, this game will very likely see longevity, even if they aren't able to hit the same highs of Helldivers 2 and Marvel Rivals on release. Now, that might sound obvious, but if you're just an average gamer that hasn't been keeping up with the news, in this current economic climate, a game having a successful release means more than ever before. I mean, do you remember how many failed hero shooters we just talked about at the start of this video? Okay, that was the last time. Trust. Games are not cheap to produce, and Bad Guitar Studios has been around since 2018, and this is their first game. Now, it's not likely that they spent $400 million like Kong, but they definitely spent a lot of money to get here. Obviously, we're still a month away from release at the time of this video, and I am sincerely hoping that Bad Guitar Studios starts to ramp up the marketing ahead of launch. Usually, that's not an issue. But Marvel Rivals had a relatively dry marketing calendar ahead of its release, and Fragpunk seems to be getting the same treatment. But again, only time will tell. As far as tactical hero shooters go, Fragpunk isn't necessarily competing with Valorant or CS2. It's trying to carve out its own 5v5 plant and defuse niche, somewhere between COD and Rainbow Six Siege. Fragpunk to me feels like such a breath of fresh air in the 5v5 tac shooter genre. The style, the pacing, the slight RNG that manages to bring a strategic card game into a shooter without feeling like it's ever too one-sided or steamrolly. When I played during the alphas and beta, I could not put it down. To me, it is my most hyped release of 2025, which is partially why I'm so worried. Maybe I just have a little too much trauma from almost losing the finals after months of hearing people call what is still one of my favorite FPS titles dead, or X-Defiant going under just a month before I was about to lock in a solid casting contract. But I really hope that the same thing doesn't happen here with Fragpunk. Of course, only time will tell, and there is definitely space in the market for a free-to-play hero shooter. When it comes down to it, even though it feels like the general hype for this game is low, it's hard to quantify. At the end of the day, I do think that the majority of my worry is unfounded, because once NetEase starts to pick up the marketing and Bad Guitar Studios starts to really go all out with their planned pre-release content schedule, then a lot more conversations about this game will happen. I mean, if we're being completely honest, Marvel Rivals is taking up the vast majority of discussions these days, so it's not like people don't have a lot to focus on in the meantime. But I do really hope to see that once this game starts to pick up steam, that people will really give this game a chance. If this game feels even half as refreshing as it did during its beta and alpha periods, then I can guarantee you that this game will see a long life cycle with hopefully well flushed out post-launch content. Everybody knows that that is one of the most important things that a game needs these days, but you cannot deny the fact that releasing a brand new IP in the hero shooter genre is a little terrifying in the big 25. But what games are you hyped for in 2025? Are you as hyped for Fragpunk as I am? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching this to the end, and don't worry, you'll see me around.